Welcome to the AI Playbook for Pest Control Marketing. We're here to break down exactly how artificial intelligence is changing the game for pest control companies just like yours. I'm Matt Rogers, the CEO of Lizard Marketing.
And I'm Danny Leibrandt, the founder of Pest Control SEO. Between us, we've spent years working with service businesses, helping them navigate the shift from old school digital marketing to AI-powered strategies that actually drive calls, leads, and growth.
In this series, we're pulling back the curtain on why old school KPIs like CPQL are worthless, how AIOverviews and AI Search Max are changing the game for SEO from free to pay-to-play, why Google search ads now run on autopilot, how AI reads your website, why local SEO is now trust-based, and how Google Business Profile activity makes or breaks you, how to fix your attribution game, and how to use AI tools the right way.
We're not here to sell hype. We're here to help you stay competitive in a market where AI is already running things behind the scenes.
So if you're a pest control business owner looking to make sense of what's next, hit subscribe and let's get into it.
Pest control owners, I hate to break it to you, but keywords don't matter as much as they used to. So how can you make sure that you show up in search? In this video, I'm going to cover how keywords used to work, how things have changed, and what you should be doing moving forward. So if you're ready, then let's dive in. All right, so let's first talk about keywords before. So when you were interacting with keywords, it was mainly about keyword research, tracking, and keyword stuffing. So I'm going to break down these three quickly. So keyword research, you would typically use a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush, and you'd be going in and doing keyword research on these tools. That might even be on Google's Keyword Planner. That might even be on a tool like People Also Ask. Regardless, you were doing research, finding out what people were searching. And back in the day, what we were talking about after, or really before, is that keywords were much simpler. So you could figure out the exact keywords that people were searching. They weren't too nuanced. And then moving on from that, then we have tracking. So again, we can go in a tool like SEMrush, which is my personal favorite, and we can track each of those keywords. We can see how they're performing. We can also see how our website is performing against those. So we might see that, okay, this month we're ranking number 1 on this keyword. This month we're ranking number 3 on this other keyword. And we'd be regularly tracking every single day, really, actually, and looking in, seeing how are we doing on each of these keywords. And then also relating to keywords before is stuffing. So this was very common back in the day. A lot of companies, and this would actually work, is that you would just stuff all of your pages with all of your top keywords. So you might have a page for Pest Control Chicago, and you would just load up the page with everything Pest Control Chicago. And you've probably seen pages like this, and you might even have this for your own company, where some of your pages are just hammered with your top keywords. Now, this is okay, but really this can actually turn off users. And it's also something to mention is that it's not even too relevant anymore, and we don't have to do excessive keyword stuffing anymore. So that's what keywords were like before. Now let's talk about keywords today and moving forward. So first off, we've got relevance. So back in the day, like we were talking about, it was mainly optimizing for exact keywords. But as you may have noticed, there are a lot more nuances in search. So now there's ChatGPT, there's Gemini, there's Perplexity, all of those large language models. But then there's even different nuances and new complexity in Google search. So you may have seen AIOverviews, you may have seen AI mode, which is more recent. These platforms and these new methods of search are now more relevance-based, and this is where Google is moving towards. So something that you might not be aware of is that the head of search at Google said that AI mode is going to be the future of search, that is actually going to be the default platform on Google. Now, what does that mean? That means that searches are going to be much more complex. So you might even use ChatGPT or another large language model like that already. And you'll notice that you do a much deeper, much more comprehensive search on those platforms. And that is the key difference. And that way, keywords are mattering less and less. People aren't doing the standard 2 or 3 or 4 word search, but instead they are doing a search that is much more complicated. It is much more nuanced. It is much more complex, where someone might do a whole paragraph to find pest control services in your area or whatever service you might provide. So we need to make sure that we are instead creating relevance in the content that we are making, that It's not so much about the keyword. We don't have to include Pest Control Chicago a million times on the Pest Control Chicago page, but rather we need to become the topical authority on that topic. That also ties into diversity, which is our next point, that it's not just about ranking your website, but it's also some other platforms. So that might be Google Business Profile. And then that even ties into advertising. So that could be Google Ads, that could be local service ads. As you might know, Google search used to just be the 10 blue links. It used to be super simple and easy, and it was pretty easy to rank. But now it's harder to rank your website. And also there are many more platforms that tie into it. So when you look at a standard Google search, it's no longer just websites and Google Ads. So I'll break down the top 4 platforms briefly. When you do a Google search for something like Pest Control Near Me or Pest Control Chicago, the first thing that will show up is local service ads. And you might be familiar, local service ads actually aren't optimized for any exact keywords, but that is actually all based on topics. So you will put in your services section, hey, we do termite control. Hey, we do general pests. Hey, we do spider control. But you're no longer giving the exact keywords like you would on Google Ads. And this is where Google as a whole, whether it's paid or organic, is trending. So this ties into the overall diversity. We can't just rank the website, but now we need to be thinking about how can we be on all of these platforms. And again, establishing that topical relevance and authority rather than optimizing for individual keywords. Now, next we have clarity. So this is something a lot of people miss. You need to create pages on your website that are dedicated to one topic in particular. So we don't recommend having general location pages or general service pages, but we should have a specific page on each of the topics that we want to rank. So if we want to have a page really about termite control, it should be all about termite control. We shouldn't just have a general service page, but now we should have these more specific pages. And that even goes into location pages as well, where we might have a termite control Chicago page instead of just a termite control page for all of our locations or just a general Chicago page. But now they're much more nuanced and they're much more clear. All right, now let's jump into action items. What do you need to be doing moving forward? So the first thing is establishing topical authority. So we need to understand what are the key services that we provide? What are the top locations that we provide? What are the top pests that we exterminate? What are some of the core values about our company? And we need to very clearly demonstrate this on the website. And this is to clearly communicate to Google and other search engines, as well as ChatGPT and other large language models, of who we are, what we're about, what we do. Again, it's not so much about exact keywords, but now it's more about topical authority. Are we the authority for rodent control in California? Are we the authority for termite control in Charlotte? So that is the first point here, that we need to have topical authority across any of the given topics that we want to rank for. Next is omnipresence. So again, we touched on this. We need to be on all platforms, not just our website. So we need to make sure we have our Google Business Profile dialed. We should have local service ads and Google Ads. And you may think there's kind of a separation between organic search and paid search, but really these two are starting to merge and combine. And at the end of the day, it really is just about showing up in front of your customers wherever they're searching. So if we can pay to get in front of them and pay about the same that we're doing for SEO or maybe a little bit more, then we should pay to do that because organic search results are continuing to push down. As I was mentioning, local service ads and Google ads will show up first, and local service ads and then Google Business Profile are taking up a lot of search traffic. And then finally, we have one concept per page. So we want to make sure that the pages on our website are very nuanced and very specific. What do we do? And then how can we clearly communicate that across the website? It shouldn't just be, a lot of pest control owners come to me and say, oh, just rank me number one. Just, optimize my website. But that doesn't actually mean anything. I actually learned this concept from Kyle Roof, who's arguably the top person in on-page SEO. And this is what he told me when I had him on my podcast about a year ago, is that we need to optimize each page for just one concept. So don't do your pest control page all for termite control and spider control and all this. No, we should make dedicated pages for each of those services to make sure that we're showing up for each of them and we're clearly demonstrating to Google of what the page is about and ultimately what the site is about. Your website is a collection of web pages, and we want to make sure that each of these web pages are clearly talking about what we do to establish that topical authority. So we also even want to demonstrate this in the structure of our website, that we might have a termite control category page, and then we have several subcategory pages, either about nuances within termite control or locations that we do termite control in.
You think your SEO is working because your blog ranks on page 1? I hate to break it to you, but nobody's reading it. It doesn't matter how many blogs you've posted, how long you've held that #1 spot, or how many keywords you've crammed into that page. Google's AI is now answering your customers' questions before they ever even get to your site. That's not a glitch, that's the new normal. This isn't some future scenario, it's happening right now. Let's break down why your organic site traffic is disappearing and what you actually need to do to get back into the game. Organic rankings aren't what they used to be. Back in the day, if you ranked in top 3 on Google, you were golden. That was your ticket to visibility. But now, that top 3 spot might not even get you seen. AI-generated answers, Google's own summaries and overviews are dominating the top search results. Your content isn't just competing with your website anymore, you're competing with Google itself. And when Google is picking and choosing information, which information gets shown, the rules of the game change completely. This isn't about getting clicks from blue links anymore. This is about being seen by AI first. Before AI flipped everything on the table, SEO was a simple numbers game. You picked your keywords, you pumped out long-form blogs every month like clockwork. Keyword stuffing was still a thing, believe it or not. You aimed to be top 3 ranking in organic results and you hope for the best. The SERP, that search engine results page, was mostly blue links and maybe a few ads at the top. Sure, paid search existed, but there still was plenty of real estate for your site to show up. Users behaved differently too. They would scroll down, click multiple links, and compare options and visit several websites before they made their decision. If you did decent SEO, traffic came eventually, even if you weren't doing everything perfectly. But now, the whole thing is different. Google's AI is filtering search results before the users even get to make a choice. Generative search experiences, AIOverviews, whatever Google wants is the call of the week. They push organic results way down the page. Sometimes you have to even scroll past several screens just to see the first unpaid result. And the AI doesn't just pull content from anyone. It pulls from sources Google has decided that it trusts. If you're not one of those sources, you are invisible. You don't exist to the user in search anymore. The content strategy now has to be a lot smarter. You can't just throw up blogs and hope for the best. You need structured content that Google AI can easily read and understand. Brand trust signals need to be baked into everything. EEAT is real and more important than ever. That means expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And there's a whole new layer now. Answer engine optimization, or AEO, is not just about search engines anymore. It's about making sure AI knows that you are the expert. On the top of all that, a zero-click search has exploded. More often than not, people get their information, their answers from Google without clicking on anything. They don't even need to visit your website anymore. And here's the kicker. Even the best content now needs paid support. You can have the most beautifully structured, perfectly optimized content in the world, and it still might not even get seen without being backed up by paid ads. Search ads, PMAX, you have to blend paid search with SEO together if you want visibility in this new market. The line between organic and paid has officially blurred. So what actually matters now? Forget just about looking at a ranking report and keyword lists. Those numbers tell a part of the story. Here's what pest control business owners need to keep an eye on and what they need to stay competitive. Impressions and AI overviews. Are you showing up in Google summaries at all? Click-through rate. Out of how many people who see your listings, how many actually click through to your site? Organic visibility by category. You need to know exactly where you show up, and just as important, where you don't. Conversions from SEO pages, leads, calls, and form fills that come in directly from organic traffic. And assisted conversions, where SEO played a role in getting the customer across the finish line, even if the final close came from paid search. If your agency isn't showing you these numbers and talking to you about these KPIs, you've got a problem. Because if you're still just looking at old school SEO reports, you're not seeing the full picture. And in today's AI-driven search landscape, that is a dangerous blind spot. Performance Max is eating your ad budget, and you probably didn't even know it. Google's AI is bidding for you, writing your ads, and choosing where you show up. The question is, are those leads even worth a damn? Or are you still running Google Ads the same way you did 3 years ago? If you're still running your Google Ads the same way you did 3 years ago, the odds are you're paying more for lower quality leads. But here's the kicker. The old school playbook doesn't just fail, it's actively working against you. Let's break down exactly what's changed and what's still salvageable and how to take back some control before your entire budget gets flushed down the toilet. AI has completely taken over the Google Ads auction. If you're not controlling the signals that Google uses, you're getting outbid by smarter campaigns run by bots that never sleep, never blink, never second guess. It's not just a few settings changes, it's a whole new playbook. The old model, manual bidding, exact match keywords, tight ad groups is mostly obsolete now. You used to know exactly where your ads showed up and who saw them. Marketers had granular control over targeting match types and copy. Optimizing was hands-on. You did A/B testing ads, you adjusted bids by hand, you reviewed search terms and reports weekly. Lead quality wasn't perfect, but it was predictable because you could control what kind of traffic that you brought in. The key word was control. Now the level of control is gone, and if you are still pretending otherwise, then you're bleeding money. Google pushes Performance Max or PMax, broad match, smart bidding, responsive ads. Those aren't options, they're defaults. You're basically feeding Google your budget and you're crossing your fingers. Account control has decreased over time. Google's automations choose placement, match types, and headlines. Their AI is automatically adjusting bids, rotating creative, expanding search terms beyond your targeted intent. And if you're not feeding the system strong guardrails, like carefully built negative keyword lists and campaign exclusions, ad budgets that don't go to waste on junk traffic, people who have zero intention of booking a service with you. It's about showing up in the right place for the right reason to the right person. One big pitfall is broad match search terms. If you're not monitoring your search term report like a hawk, Google will happily show your pest control ads to someone who's searching for how to kill time at home instead of how to kill ants in my kitchen. That's real money being wasted, and it adds up fast. One misstep, one unchecked campaign, and your monthly budget can be gone in days without anything to show for it but just junk leads. The solution? You have to feed Google better conversion data. AI only knows what you tell it. If you're not optimizing for form fills instead of quality leads, Google will flood you with bad leads. You need to set clear goals and optimize for CPQL. That's cost per qualified lead, not just cost per lead. There's a world of difference between someone who fills out a form for a pest control service and someone who actually converts into a paying customer. And Google doesn't know the difference unless you tell it. The key is building closed feedback loops. Your CRM, your sales team, your Google Ads algorithm, they all have to talk to each other. Feed that data in real time if possible. When Google's machine learning understands not just who filled out the form, but who booked a service and paid, that's when things get dangerous in a good way. Your campaigns get sharper, your spend gets more efficient, your leads get better. So what should pest control owners actually start tracking now? CPQL, that's cost per qualified lead. That's number one. Cost per lead is the second thing you should be following. If you don't have that dialed in, you're flying blind. Next up, search term relevance. Are the search terms triggering your ads actually related to pest control, or are you showing up in irrelevant junk? You'd be surprised how much of your budget gets lost on irrelevant queries. Conversion rate by campaign type. You need to know if Performance Max is actually converting or is it just burning cash. Not all campaigns perform equally. Some campaigns are sharks and some are guppies. You need to know which one is which so you know where to shift your budget. Lead to close ratio from ads. Are your leads from your ads actually turning into closed leads? If your ads bring up 100 leads but your sales team only closes 5, that's a big red flag. And finally, impression share for core terms. You need to know if you're even in the running when your core services get searched. If you're losing impression share to competitors because Google's automation isn't favoring your ad structure, that's a battle you need to get on, and you need to get on it fast. If your marketing company isn't showing you these KPIs, it's time to have a serious conversation, because Google Ads today isn't just about set it and forget it. AI has taken over, and if you're not feeding it the right signals, it's just taking your money and running away. The question isn't whether you should use automation. The question is whether your automation is working for you or is it working against you.
Imagine this. You get hundreds of qualified leads visiting your site every month, but only a few of them ever end up contacting you. Now, this sounds horrible, but it's actually the reality for most pest control companies. So in this video, I'm going to break down how conversions used to work, how they work now, and what you should do moving forward. All right, so first we're going to cover how conversions were before this new AI renaissance. So first, I actually have ranking here. So ranking would in of itself actually help your conversions because people see you ranking high on Google and they think, oh, okay, you must be trustworthy, you must be credible, that you are even showing up at the top of Google search. And this is still somewhat relevant today. I mean, you see something that might be ranking high on Google search and you trust it a little bit more. But this is definitely more prevalent back in the day versus now, which we'll get into a little bit later. People are much less likely to trust you right away. There are so many different companies, there are so many websites that people kind of lack this initial trust of just you're ranking right away, you must be a credible company. Next, we have simplicity. So this was also big on websites. Most landing pages, which are usually the pages that either you're ranking or you're sending ads to, really they just had to be as simple as possible. Just, is there a contact form? Should we send them to the contact page? There's really not much content. Okay, there's some photos, but there's nothing really crazy going on in the pages. Really all we need is functionality, which is our third. So again, we have ranking, simplicity, and functionality before. Functionality was really, again, this is just at its core, websites just need to function at all. So if your page would load, because a lot of websites, you may see this on your own website, that it might take 10, even 20 seconds to load, which is ridiculous. So that's part of functionality. And then also being somewhat mobile optimized, which a lot of websites aren't truly mobile optimized, but just making sure that it doesn't look horrible on mobile, that a lot of people are searching on mobile and it doesn't look all weird. It doesn't look like the desktop version, but there is a strict mobile version that we have optimized as well. And those are really the three core components. It was much more simple. It was much more easy, but as we get into conversions now, it gets much more complex. All right, now let's talk about conversions in 2025 and beyond. So we have three elements here. The first one is speed. Now, what exactly does speed mean? This is essentially that it should be as easy and as fast as possible for customers to get in touch with you. So before, it was much more complex. A lot of people would have to do a lot of searching, a lot of digging. They'd have to scroll through your page. You'd send them to the contact page. You would have a lot of options on the contact form. Now what we're optimizing for is speed. And this is really actually because, quite frankly, people have less of an attention span than a goldfish now. Goldfish have an attention span of 8 seconds. Humans have a little bit more than 7 seconds. So people are looking for speed. Now, a big part of that is page speed. But again, like I mentioned, that will also be the contact forms. That will also be, if we're sending them to a different page or not. We want to make sure that the conversion cycle is as fast as possible. And also that they can convert at the top of the page. Now, next we have trust. People are much less likely to trust, like I mentioned, because there are so many different companies, there are so many different websites, is someone using AI or not? I have no idea what's going on. I just want to make sure that it's a company that I trust. So how can we optimize and implement trust? We need to make sure that we have different trust signals, such as having reviews on our website, having trust badges, and demonstrating that we are the go-to company, demonstrating some kind of expertise, showing that we actually do the thing that we do. So showing photos, showing our process and that kind of thing. And then finally, we have optionality here. So this is something a lot of companies miss, is that we want to make sure that people can contact us the way they want to. So it shouldn't just be a contact form. It shouldn't just be a call button, but we should have contact form. We should have call button. We should allow a live chat, maybe that be a chat bot or that's actually us. We should allow them to text us, maybe even email us. We want to make sure that we give our customers and actually prospects as many options as possible to contact us, because this is the age of optionality, really, that people want to be able to do whatever they want to do. So some people might only feel comfortable texting your company. So we want to make sure that we have that in place for them as well. So that is really the three components of conversions now. That is speed, trust, and optionality. All right, so let me give you a specific example here. So there's a pest control company that I was working with in Wisconsin, and they had numerous things wrong with their conversion cycle that we ended up helping out with. So one of the things is that their page speed was way too slow. So we did an in-depth audit with their company, and we looked at it and we saw, and to much their surprise, they thought they had an amazing website and they're paying all this money for this agency. Their homepage was taking, I believe it was 12 seconds to load. And we would do a few refreshes to make sure it was the same thing. Next one, it would be 10 seconds, then 13. Their homepage was taking about 12 seconds to load on mobile. And if you're not familiar, about 60 to 70% of your website visitors will be on mobile. So this is obviously huge. Most people, and also if you're not familiar, most people will drop off after about 5 to 6 seconds. It continually and increasingly drops off after 3 seconds. So we really want to make sure that we have our website loading under 3 seconds. And obviously your homepage is going to be a big component of this, and also some of the other landing pages that we want to send people to. So this was the first big fix that we did regarding optimizing for conversions. We want to make sure that we're checking using something like PageSpeed Insights, which is a free tool by Google. And we can also, really something easy we can do also is optimizing the images on the site. This is a super easy win we can have. And then also something we noticed is that they didn't have many trust signals on the pages that we were sending people to. So whether that's paid or organic traffic, we weren't really demonstrating our expertise. I mean, it's a $10 million pest control company. They're totally crushing it. They know what they're doing. They hire the right people. So we wanted to make sure that we have the trust signals in place. So all the different places they're verified, they are accredited by a Better Business Bureau, and they are Google guaranteed. And all these different trust badges that they have, we want to make sure that we demonstrate those very clearly. And then also all the reviews that they have. This company has a lot of reviews. They have thousands of reviews. So we want to make sure that we clearly demonstrate those and show, hey, this is the Pest Control Appleton page. Let's talk about all the reviews that we've gotten in Appleton. Jenny and Anna and Joe, all of these different people in the area that left a review. Let's talk about that. And so let's make sure we have all those testimonials in place on the website as well. And that's what we made sure to do. And then finally, we have contact methods. So a lot of companies will just have a standard contact form. Maybe they might have a phone number as well. First off, we want to make sure that they had a click to call button in the top right. This is key. This is something every website should have. And a lot of companies either don't have it click to call, where you have to actually type it out, or they will not write it out. So if people are searching your company on desktop, they don't know the number to call. They don't know what to type in on their phone after finding your website and landing there. So we want to make sure that's written out, and we can also click to call. And that's what we made sure to do. And regarding other contact methods, we wanted to make sure that the contact forms were as simple as possible. So this is another problem, that they had like 10 fields on each of their contact forms on each of these landing pages that we set up, or that they already had set up. So we want to make sure that the contact forms are as simple as possible, so that people can convert right away. We can get on the phone with them and then understand their situation better. But again, we don't want to have these crazy contact forms, and we want to allow different contact methods of ideally having a live chat, allowing them to text us, being available for phone, having the contact form at the top of the page, all of these different items to make sure that they convert with us and become a customer.
Your Google business profile is either your best weapon, or it's the reason competitors are stealing your phone calls. If Google doesn't trust you, you do not exist, period. And trust isn't about reviews or proximity anymore. Local rankings today are about showing Google that you are a real, active, and reliable business in your exact market. That's not just set it and forget it. It's not about getting lucky with a few reviews or hitting a random keyword anymore. It's about building and maintaining trust signals that Google's AI can see, measure, and believe in every single day. Local rankings aren't just about proximity, they're about trust. Google wants to serve results from companies that it believes in. If your Google business profile and the local signals are weak, you are invisible. Back before AI was running the show, local SEO was pretty basic. You set up a Google My Business or a GMB page, you grabbed a few reviews, and you called it a day. Content strategy was usually limited to basic city pages, sometimes duplicated across areas with barely any changes in wording. Review management? If someone remembered, maybe they'd respond to a couple of reviews. Citation building meant dumping your info into outdated directory listing services, hoping for mass citations would boost your rankings. And for the most part, proximity and category were often enough to get your business showing up. Now, that old playbook doesn't cut it anymore. Google Business Profile, or GBP, is scrutinized like never before. AI detects mismatched data, low activity, fake reviews, all of it. If your profile looks sketchy or inactive, Google is going to bury you. Hyperlocal signals matter now more than they've ever mattered before. You can't just say Orlando Pest Control. It has to mention specific neighborhoods, landmarks, and local content. Your reviews need to look real and steady over time. That's trust velocity. Consistent reviews matter more than having a big number of reviews all at once. Sudden spikes look suspicious to Google. A healthy, regular review flow tells Google people trust you today, not just 5 days ago, not just 5 years ago. Google's AI crawls everything: reviews, language, Q&A sections, even your photos. It uses all of your data to assess trust. If your profile looks like a ghost town or a spam farm, you are not showing up. It's not just about what's on your website anymore. It's about your full digital footprint. Photos need to be real, geotagged, and updated regularly. Posts need to show relevant current information. Questions and answers need to reflect the active community engagement. It's all about activity and authenticity. Modern local strategy means unique pages per area, active review campaigns, and constant GBP engagement. That means posting photos, updates, and responding to reviews, and even answering your customers' questions. You can't just set it and forget it anymore. Businesses that win in 2025 are businesses that act like real local businesses online. It's about local relevance in the eyes of Google, not just your customers. So what should pest control businesses actually track now? Google Business Profile interaction rates, clicks, calls, direction requests directly from your profile. Review velocity, how steady new reviews are coming in, not just the total number. Local conversion rate by zip code or by neighborhood. Are people in specific areas actually becoming customers? And finally, photo and post engagement on GBP. If no one's actually clicking on your photos or reading your posts, you're not doing it right. And don't ignore secondary signals like how often your GBP questions are getting answered or how many people view your service listings. It's about creating a living, breathing digital storefront. If your marketing company isn't actively managing and reporting these KPIs, you are falling behind. Local SEO isn't just about having a website anymore. It's about proving to Google that you deserve to be seen by your community and doing it every single day. Every post, every review, every photo matters, and it all adds up to one big thing. That's trust.
Let's be real. Most businesses are cranking out content every week with nothing to show for it. No leads, no sales, just views and vanity metrics. But content isn't supposed to be busy work. It should be your best salesperson. In this video, I'm breaking down how content used to be, how content is now in the future in 2025 and beyond, and what you need to do for your business today. So if you're ready, then let's jump in. All right, so let's talk about content before the AI renaissance. Content was much more simple. So we weren't able to generate content. We weren't able, and really actually there wasn't a real requirement to go in depth on any given topic. And this was mainly because there wasn't much competition. There wasn't much websites, there were fewer companies, but as we progress, as we move into the future, there are many more companies, there are many more websites, and there's much more competition. So again, it used to be much more simple. We just want to optimize for a keyword. We just want to figure something out. We just want to get a page out at all. It used to be much easier to rank. And then we move on to keywords. So pages also used to be dedicated all around keywords, as we were talking about earlier. It used to be all around keywords of how can we stuff as much as possible? How can we put as many keywords in the heading and the title throughout the text? And it really felt unnatural, but that's actually what worked. And customers and prospects were even okay with this because they understood this is just how the web worked. Now, finally, we have top of funnel. Most companies, most agencies, and most home service businesses were focused on creating top of funnel content. That might be blogs, that might be things in your pest library. It was all about generating a lot of traffic and getting a lot of traffic to your site so that we can boost authority, so that we can show that some progress is being made in SEO. All right, now let's talk about content in 2025 and beyond. So first, we have depth. Your content needs to be much deeper on any given topic that you make a page about. So we can no longer have pages with 200, 300 words. It has to be much more deeper in order to demonstrate to Google and other search engines, along with ChatGPT and other large language models, that we are the expert on the topic. And I like to call this conceptual entirety. the topic as a whole, let's make sure that we cover that completely on the page. So that might be FAQs, that might be our top services, how we do this in this particular area. We want to make sure that we go really deep on any of the pages that we make, whatever that concept may be. Now we have structure. This is a huge one, particularly with large language models like ChatGPT, is that really there are two aspects here, is that we have site structure and page structure. So regarding your site structure, we want to make sure that we have a category page set up for all of our top services to demonstrate to Google very clearly of who we are, of what we do. So that might be termite control, spider control, ant control, general pests, wildlife, like whatever services you do, we should have a category page for that given topic. And then what we should do and what makes that a category page is then we build pages off of that. So that may look like abcpestcontrol.com/termite control /types of termites or /Chicago, Illinois. And that would be termite control in Chicago, Illinois. And that's typically what we recommend is doing service plus city and having that within the category to demonstrate to Google very clearly, hey, this is what we are about. We know so much about this topic that we are even creating a dedicated category for termite control, for pest control, and talking all about that either with our locations or nuances within that service. So that is site structure. Then we have page structure. Something we really want to look at and be focused on regarding our pages is the headings. We want to look at, first off, what is our H1? What are the H2s that we have? And do we have any H3s? Do we have any H4s? And this is the structure of the page. This is essentially the beginning of communicating to Google and other search platforms of what the page is about. So the H1 is by far the most important still. We want to make sure that that is optimized for our primary keyword or topic. And then below that, we should have a good amount of H2s that are covering our secondary keywords and secondary topics. So that might be, as we mentioned, that might be a termite control Chicago page, and that might be an H2 for termite control Chicago FAQs. And then, different kinds of termites we exterminate in Chicago, whatever that may be. We want to make sure that those are clearly structured in the H2s. And we can check this using a tool like Meta SEO Inspector. And then something regarding structure as well is we want to make sure that we have proper schema. So schema sounds like a crazy thing, and a lot of people talk about it and they don't actually know what it is. We can use a plugin like Rank Math to basically make the schema for us. So we don't have to do anything crazy or complex, but we need to make sure that we have an SEO plugin that implements schema on our pages as well. And this is a huge upcoming topic that we need to make sure that we optimize for and have in place, because this is what large language models are looking at a lot of. What are we communicating to the web crawlers of what the page is about? And then finally, we have bottom of funnel. So as we mentioned, content used to be really focused on top of funnel. It used to be on a lot of blogs and, hey, we have 100K traffic to our site every month. But as you may have noticed, things like AIOverviews and ChatGPT have taken over a lot of the top of funnel traffic. So something of, it might be how to do DIY spider control, or, what are the most common pests in, this city, whatever. A lot of those top of funnel keywords are now being replaced by AI overviews. And this is what results in a zero-click search. So people will see the answer in AI overviews or in AI mode or in ChatGPT or something else, and now they don't need to click on your site. So that has become much less important. But now what is much more important is having bottom of funnel content. We want to make sure that we have specific location pages and also ideally location plus service pages that talk about the individual services that we do and the locations that we do them. And this communicates to Google and also to people of what we do. We need to talk about all the different services and locations, and that ties into ranking organically, but that also ties into ranking on paid search. So this overall ties into how can we communicate to the search engines of what we do, what we're about, and have that topical authority around that topic and have pages on nuanced terms and topics that not many other companies have.
Your customers don't want talking robots. They want quick answers, real solutions, and a sense that there's a human on the other side who understands their problem. When AI is misused, it doesn't just feel impersonal, it feels broken. Generic responses, irrelevant ads, bad website content, all of it drives trust and business away. It frustrates potential customers, and it wastes their time and pushes them straight into the arms of your competitors. Worse, it damages your reputation in a way that isn't easily fixed with a simple apology or a refund. But if your marketing company is using AI the wrong way, that's exactly what they're serving. Robotic interactions with zero human touch. AI won't replace you, it'll replace lazy marketing agencies, the one that still copy and paste blog templates, rehashing same SEO playbook from 2019, or running Google ad campaigns on autopilot with no strategic oversight. If you want to win in digital marketing today, especially as a service-based business, AI isn't optional, but the way to use it takes expertise and the right team. That's where we come in. AI isn't about replacing the human expertise, it's about leveling the playing field. Smaller and medium-sized pest control businesses can now realistically compete with larger competitors thanks to tools like AIOverview. Where big brands once dominated local search simply by budget and volume, AI now pulls content from businesses it trusts regardless of size, as long as the content is structured and optimized properly. That means it's no longer about who has the biggest budget, it's about who has the most relevant and trustworthy content. But creating and maintaining that structure isn't a DIY project. It requires understanding what Google is actually looking for. Clean code, structured data, consistent local signals, and optimized reviews. For pest control business owners, AI can mean faster content production, smarter ad optimization, and better customer insights. When it's used by professionals who know how to feed it the right data and keep human oversight in the loop. Without that, all the AI tools in the world won't help. Before AI, most small service businesses either hired an agency or tried to DIY their marketing. DIYers spent hours wrestling with Canva or writing their own blogs. Agencies wrote every blog, built every ad, handled every report manually. Quality was really hit or miss. Speed was slow. The cost? High if you had the right team, overwhelming if you didn't. Campaigns took weeks, sometimes months to even get off the ground, and even then, it was often a guessing game, hoping the ads hit, hoping the content ranked, hoping the phone would ring. Now there's a more efficient way if you know what you're doing. Today's AI-powered tools stack is deeper, faster, and more powerful than anything a small business had access to even 2 years ago. Tools like ChatGPT, Surf for SEO, Jasper, MagicX, CallRail AI can help your business act like a bigger company without the bloated payroll, but only if you're using it correctly. It's not about plugging in a tool and hoping for the best. It's about building an integrated system that's handled by a team that knows what signals matter and train the AI for pest control marketing specifically. From structuring service pages to optimizing ad headlines to monitoring call quality, these tools work best when they're guided by professionals who understand both the tech and the industry. Too many business owners think AI is a magic box. It isn't. Feed it the wrong information and you're wasting time and money. For example, you can't just ask ChatGPT for a blog or MagicX to run ads for you without clear conversion events tied to actual qualified leads. If you don't have the time or the expertise to manage things like review velocity, search intent alignment, and negative keyword filtering, you need a partner that does. The difference between a campaign that wins and one that fails isn't the AI, it's the team that's behind it. What business owners don't need is a toolbox of new AI tools and no strategy or plan on how to implement them. You need a digital marketing agency that will run a system for you, that handles the setup, prompt engineering, conversion tracking, and daily optimizing across all of your platforms and campaigns. Connects all the dots. Content creation, ad testing, lead quality, monitoring and reporting using AI the right way to get real-world results. And because we specialize in pest control marketing, everything we do is tailored specifically for your industry. No one-size-fits-all solution, just smart AI-driven marketing that's made to fit your business. The bottom line, AI isn't a replacement for human strategy, it's a multiplier. If your marketing feels slow, generic, and bloated, it's not because your AI is failing, it's because you're not working with the right team. Agencies that figure this out win. Businesses that figure this out grow. And the ones who ignore it, they get replaced. AI doesn't care about your budget size. It cares about your relevance, your trust, and your activity. Make sure that you have a team in place that knows how to deliver all three. If you're ready to see how this works for your pest control business, then call us. Don't let someone else's automations steal your customers.